You're not failing. You're just quitting too early. And if you stop now, you'll never see how close you actually were. There comes a point in everyone's journey where things slow down, where effort doesn't match results, where motivation fades and doubt starts getting louder than belief. This is the phase where most people quietly give up, not because they lack potential, but because they lose patience. In this video, you're going to understand why this phase exists, why it feels so heavy, and most importantly, how to push through it when everything in you wants to stop. Because the truth is, you're not stuck. You're just in the middle of something that hasn't paid off yet. Let's start with something uncomfortable. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they stop. Not dramatically, not loudly, but slowly. They stop showing up the same way. They stop pushing themselves. They stop believing it's worth it. And eventually, they convince themselves it wasn't meant for them. But what if that's not true? What if the only difference between someone who made it and someone who didn't is time? Think about it. Every skill you admire today once looked average. Every confident person you see today once felt unsure. Every successful outcome started as something invisible. But you don't see that part. You only see the result. And that creates a dangerous illusion. It makes you believe that progress should be fast, visible, obvious, when in reality, real progress is slow, quiet, and often invisible for a long time. Let me tell you a story. There was someone working toward a goal that mattered deeply to them. They put in hours every day. They sacrificed time, energy, comfort. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into more. But nothing changed. No recognition, no visible results, no sign that it was working. And slowly, doubt started creeping in. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm wasting my time. Maybe others were right. And here's the turning point. They had two choices: stop or continue. Stopping would give immediate relief. No more pressure, no more uncertainty. But continuing, that meant facing more doubt, more effort, more time without guarantees. Most people choose relief. Very few choose growth. Here's the truth no one tells you. The moment you feel like quitting is usually the moment right before things start to shift, but you don't see the shift yet, so you walk away. Now let's talk about doubt. Not external doubt, internal doubt, because that's the real enemy. When someone else doubts you, it's just noise, but when you start doubting yourself, it becomes dangerous, because now it affects your actions. You hesitate. You overthink, you stop taking risks, and slowly, your effort weakens. Not because you can't do it, but because you no longer believe you can. But here's something you need to understand clearly. Belief is not something you wait for, it's something you build. And the only way to build it is through action. Small, consistent, repeated action, even when you don't feel like it. Let's break this down. Imagine two people starting the same journey. One is highly motivated at the beginning. They push hard, expect quick results, and when they don't see them, they slow down. The other doesn't rely on motivation. They rely on consistency. They show up daily, even when it feels boring, even when it feels pointless. Who wins in the long run? It's always the second person, because motivation fades, but systems last. Now here's where it gets real. There will be days when you feel nothing. No drive, no excitement, no clarity, just resistance. And those are the most important days, because what you do on those days defines your future more than what you do on your best days. Anyone can perform when they feel good. Very few can continue when they don't. Now let's address the biggest challenge you're facing: impatience. You want results now, you want proof now, you want validation now. And when you don't get it, you assume something is wrong. But the problem is not your effort. The problem is your expectation of timing. You're expecting a return before the investment has matured. Think about it like this. If you plant a seed today, you don't dig it up tomorrow to check if it's growing. You trust the process. You water it. You give it time. But with your goals, you want instant proof. And when it doesn't come, you lose heart. That's the trap. E-exploration development. So how do you break out of it? You shift your focus from results to process, from outcome to action. Instead of asking, is this working? Start asking, did I show up today? Because showing up is something you control. Results are not. You also need to redefine progress. Progress is not always visible. Sometimes it's internal. Better focus, stronger discipline, improved thinking. These things don't show immediately, but they compound. And when they do, the results follow. Another important shift: stop comparing your beginning to someone else's peak. You don't know how long they struggled. You don't know how many times they failed. You don't know what it took to get there. You're seeing the highlight, not the process. And comparing your reality to someone else's highlight will always make you feel behind. Now here's the moment that matters most. You need to decide, are you going to be someone who stops when it gets hard, or someone who continues when it makes no sense? Because that decision changes everything, not instantly, but over time. Imagine two futures. In one, you quit, you move on, you distract yourself, you convince yourself it wasn't important. Life becomes comfortable again. But deep down, there's always a question. What if I didn't stop? In the other future, you continue. It's uncomfortable, it's uncertain, it's slow, but you keep going. And one day, something shifts. You start seeing results. You start gaining confidence. You start realizing you were capable all along. That moment, it only belongs to people who didn't quit. So here's what you need to remember. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are just early in the process. And early phases are always the hardest because they demand effort without reward. They demand belief without proof. They demand patience without guarantees. But if you stay, if you continue, if you refuse to lose heart, those invisible efforts will eventually become visible results. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be the best. You just need to not stop. Because in the end, success is not about who starts strong. It's about who stays long enough. If this changed how you see your journey, watch the next video on your screen. It'll show you how to stay consistent even when motivation disappears.